count on. LEX 18 News.
The latest on the evacuations and damage in Gatlinburg. A Kentucky mother's concern for her daughter who is stuck waiting out the wildfires. And how Kentuckians are pitching in to help wildfire victims.
LEX 18 News at 11 starts now.
Good evening, I'm Nancy Cox.
And I'm Kevin Christopher. Thanks for joining us at 11. 3 people have died and 14,000 have left their homes after fast-moving wildfires swept into Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge overnight. Hundreds of homes and businesses have been lost, including tourist spots popular with Kentucky families. Officials say wind gusts topping 87 miles an hour fueled several wildfires in the hills there.
Authorities rescued 29 hikers this morning, and the Red Cross and National Guard are helping with relief efforts. Despite massive damage to the surrounding area, Dollywood has announced that it will reopen Friday after spending the next 2 days supporting the community. The Dreammore Resort is still open to guests, and the theme park will resume normal operation Friday at 2. Well, thousands of people fled to safety as flames in Gatlinburg burned down homes and hotels. Now hundreds of firefighters are working around the clock to put out the fires.
LEX 18's Karolina Buczek is in Tennessee to begin our team coverage of the Gatlinburg wildfires in tonight's Big Story at 11.
Many people staying here at this American Red Cross shelter don't have anywhere else to go. They're not sure what's left of their homes and belongings, but they're just thankful they're safe after being chased down the mountain by flames. 14,000 people left Gatlinburg last night. Many people say they didn't even realize there was an evacuation going on. The high winds picked up quickly, and people say the flames were coming up on the road. One Lexington family on vacation in the area said it took them 2 hours to drive a distance that would normally take about 20 minutes. People were stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic while driving by smoke and flames. People were scared they were going to die trying to escape.
Where there were embers everywhere, so we took a detour a couple times, went down a couple different streets, and there were still fires everywhere. And we were backed up in traffic. At one point, it was so dark and so smoky, we got lost.
Some people here are still looking for lost family members, and they're also waiting to get the okay to go check up on what's left of their homes, but firefighters say it'll be a while before they can do that. Covering the news in Pigeon Forge from the LEX 18 mobile newsroom, back to you.
Many people want to help the fire victims in Gatlinburg. For instance, several businesses in Laurel County have stepped up and will be delivering items this week. Kesley Borza has that and more about how you can help.
For so many Kentuckians, a piece of their childhood in Gatlinburg is gone.
Yeah, we've been going there since we were little. We've had a lot of memories there.
The Lilly Auto Sales family in Laurel County says they couldn't just sit back and watch people suffer.
We just felt the need that they would need things and decided that it was in our heart, we needed to help.
Just felt like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
The business is asking for donations of canned food, paper products, diapers, and toiletries. They'll be taking the items to Smoky Mountain Resort Ministries this week. But as our local Kentucky fire departments know all too well, it's not just the people who live and work in Gatlinburg who are in dire need.
And we said it would be kind of nice that since there was such an outpouring for us as firemen and first responders during our tornado, if we would concentrate on them.
The East Bernstadt Fire Department is taking up a collection of water, sports drinks, snack bars, and first aid items to help the people who are running towards the wildfires.
Little things like Band-Aids and gauze, eye wash, in case they get dirt in their eyes. Just a little comforts that, they can just hand out to the guys that can have. It's nothing real big, but it's those little things that, in a disaster like that really count.
They're asking people to bring donations to the fire department by Thursday. Covering the news in Laurel County, Kesley Borza, LEX 18 News.
And while many people evacuated or are staying at shelters for the night, some are stuck, staying put in their homes. Conor McCue continues our team coverage with the story of one Kentucky family living in Gatlinburg, waiting out the fires.
Just lost power. Yes to having insurance.
Nora Roth's phone won't leave her fingertips tonight.
It's dark, but the sky is red. I've never seen anything like this.
It's the only way she can check on her daughter, stuck just a few miles from the massive fires in Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
And she said they were fine on supplies. But it was just horrible down there that the ash was coating everything and it was hard to breathe.
Roth's daughter Laura and her husband moved to Gatlinburg from Lexington a few years ago. They own this home along with a cabin down the road. Last night, Roth says police went door to door telling people evacuation in that area was voluntary. The couple chose to stay and invited their tenants to stay safely with them.
He said if they did leave, you would be stuck in traffic and possibly your car and you know, have a bad ending. So they decided to stay put.
Roth says her daughter has no electricity and only enough gas to power a generator through the night. They'll have to leave if the fires move too close.
And I said, where would you go? I have no clue. Just get in the car and go, I guess.
For Roth's daughter, the only certainty tonight is Mom will be waiting by the phone for every update. Conor McCue, LEX-18 News.
Many are getting their first look at what's left of the homes and rental properties after the fires rolled through. LEX-18's Kesley Borza spoke with some of them, and she begins our big story team coverage from Tennessee.
On Monday evening, this family who lives in Wares Valley says they were eating dinner with a friend who was evacuated from her home in Gatlinburg. All of a sudden, they heard a loud boom, which turned out to be their transformer blowing.
And when she walked to the front door, the flames were already that far close to the house. The porch was on fire already. So she yelled back in the house, "We gotta get out of here."
Buczek says high winds were blowing flames everywhere, which explains why only parts of this mountain are burned. The crazy thing about the wildfires on Mountain Time Way is some houses like this one burned all the way down to the foundation, while others who are sitting right next door were left completely untouched. Dozens of homes and rental properties here are gone. Some even left a vehicle behind as they escaped.
When we left, this was all red. It was just all ablaze. And this was burning already. So we escaped, luckily.
Covering the news in Sevier County, Tennessee, Kesley Borza, LEX-18 News.
Fire crews are doing everything they can to save the homes still standing. Now families are getting a chance to see if their homes survived. LEX-18's Karolina Buczek spoke with one man whose family wasn't so lucky. That continues our team coverage.
This fire is very destructive. It took down this entire home in a matter of minutes. This was once a living room. Over here, you can still see some smoke in the kitchen. This home burned down Monday night in a matter of minutes. The homeowners are an elderly couple who lived inside for 43 years. Their family members say they barely got them out of here safely. When they got here Monday, the home was surrounded by fire. They lost everything they left behind.
The way the winds were, they didn't have time to get anything. They didn't grab any clothes or anything like that.
Not much survived this fire. Everything is either buried underneath the rubble or burned, but a few items like this tea set over here did survive the flames. Covering the news in Gatlinburg from the LEX-18 mobile newsroom, back to you.
Many people in Kentucky hold the popular tourist spot close to their hearts. Regulars to Gatlinburg, Casey and Rachel Ham of Louisville, arrived Sunday. They were staying at the Westgate Smoky Mountain Resort, but just 24 hours later, they were being evacuated. The wildfire was coming right at them, and they took these photos and some video of what it looked like.
And then I turned around behind me, and basically, you know, we were on one mountain, and the next mountain over was just completely lit up orange. It was covered in smoke, and that whole smoke cloud was just bright orange, red orange, with light from the flames. And I looked at Casey and I was like, how did this happen? Like, how is the fire this close?
Several cabins are reportedly damaged at the Westgate Resort. Flames gutted and destroyed the main check-in building. One of the area's biggest attractions is still shut down. Dollywood was closed as the fire spread to Pigeon Forge, where that theme park is located. These photos show just how close the fires came to the park. Luckily, there was no damage there, but more than a dozen of Dollywood's Smoky Mountain cabins were damaged or destroyed. For now, the park still plans to reopen Friday afternoon.
Animals also had to flee the fires in eastern Tennessee. Some were separated from their families, while many people are left with no way to care for their pets. Now Lexington business is making sure no animal suffers any more than it already has. LEX-18's Claire Crouch reports.
You know, I think people sometimes think about people, but they forget the animals.
When people left their homes fleeing the wildfires, they were forced to make split-second decisions on where to go and what to do with their pets.
These are people's family members. They're the family members that they left with. They took everything that was living, their kids and their pets, and they left.
So now PetSmart in Hamburg is leading the charge, collecting everything the 24-hour emergency shelter, now set up on the fairgrounds in Sevierville, might need to help pets and their owners.
We're just trying to help them get their feet back underneath them with a few things that, you know, just the basics, a bed, a bowl, maybe some food, and maybe a toy for their dogs just for the holidays.
The folks in need down in Tennessee say some of the things they need are items you might not normally think of. Stuff like cleaning supplies, spray bottles, and paper towels to help them keep their shelter clean.
Makes me teary-eyed thinking about what they're going through down there.
The collection drive has already been successful. Lots of pet parents have already donated items to be delivered on Friday to the Tennessee shelter. Many of them saying if the situation were reversed, they'd hope someone would do the same for them.
It just breaks my heart.
And another donation idea here at PetSmart is if you buy one of these plush animals, 10% of the proceeds go to relief efforts in Tennessee, and then this stuffed animal goes to either a pet or a child to help them in their time of need. We're covering the news in Lexington from the LEX-18 mobile newsroom. Back to you.
In addition to the massive destruction in Gatlinburg, fires also broke out in the nearby towns of Pigeon Forge and Wares Valley. As Kelsey Borza reports, hundreds of homes and businesses burned to the ground, and people are just now making it back to see what's left. That's tonight's LEX-18 Big Story at 11.
One man who lives in Wares Valley said his electricity went out during the fire and he had to lift up this garage door with his bare hands. He also said he had no choice but to leave one of his vehicles behind.
When we left, this was all red. It was just all ablaze.
The fire in Wares Valley spread all the way up a mountain, jumping and skipping over some homes and demolishing others. One family says on Monday night, when people were being evacuated from Gatlinburg, they thought they were safe from the fires. The next thing they knew, their porch was up in flames and the hillsides were burning red.
With that strong wind, it just forced it right up here. So it was, it just went so fast. It was, we couldn't even think. In 2 minutes' time, we would have been totally burned.
While dozens of families are still coming back to find their rental cabins or homes looking like this, the good news here is everyone in Wares Valley made it out alive. We're covering the news in Sevier County, Tennessee. From the LEX-18 mobile newsroom, back to you.
The fires have affected many people in Kentucky, too. The Smokies are a popular vacation spot just a few hours away, and some people had to leave quickly because of the way the wildfires spread so fast. Conroy Delouche spoke with several people who had to evacuate, and he continues our team coverage.
You could just see the orange glow just starting to rise up over the mountain.
Sherry Isaacs and her family drove to Pigeon Forge from Estill County on Saturday for a fun weekend. On Monday, they were finishing up breakfast at one of their favorite spots, the Mountain Lodge restaurant.
You could smell the smoke, you know, it was kind of hard to breathe. And on top of my car was just chunks of ash and soot that had fell from the sky just everywhere.
Just hours later, the restaurant was gone.
The photos don't do any of it justice because it was literally, it was just thick. I mean, it was gray, thick. You just barely could see, you know, in front of you.
Eddie Cooper was staying in a cabin in Sevierville, but drove through Gatlinburg late Monday afternoon. He said the empty streets and attractions were an eerie sight.
Our waiter literally came to us in the middle of the meal and said, I have to leave. My house is being evacuated.
Cooper's thankful he was able to leave safely, but as these Kentuckians made the trip up I-75, they could not help but think about those who lost so much in the fires.
And it was just, it was horrific. It was just really sad.
Covering the news, Conroy Delouche, LEX-18 News.
Thank you, Connor. The damage continues to mount in the Great Smoky Mountains from wildfires that gutted parts of Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
10 people have been killed, and more than 700 structures in Sevier County were lost and damaged. 300 of those were in Gatlinburg alone. The massive wildfire has burned more than 17,000 acres in the park and was about 10% contained when wind fueled the flames that devastated that popular vacation spot. Now rescue operations have been slowed by mud and rock slides caused by the wet weather. An unknown number of people remain missing, although families have been asking for help to find their loved ones. Some people are being allowed to go back to what's left of their homes. People have been traveling all across the country to see if their cabins are still standing.
But not everyone has been lucky. LEX-18's Kesley Borza talks to a Lexington family who asked us to go check on their cabin, and we found it had been destroyed. That's the LEX-18 Big Story at 5.
The family who owns what used to be a rental cabin behind me is from Lexington, and so many other cabins that are up here on Cobbly Knob look the exact same.
It doesn't look like anything that I knew 2 weeks ago.
The Cozy Cub Hideaway, which used to look like this, is now unrecognizable even to its owners.
All you see is rubble and burnt now. It just looks like it never was part of the cabin.
Unfortunately, this is what most places along Pinetop Road look like today. Monday's fire in Cobbly Knob was started by downed power lines and spread with rapid wind gusts. Several homeowners came back to see if anything was left at their own place or to check on their neighbors' cabins who live too far away.
It's just devastated everybody, and we all become like a family in that area, and we all have lost something, and we all know somebody's lost something. But it's just hard to believe it could take out everything like that in 2 or 3 days.
Now that the rain has stopped today and the winds are picking back up, we have seen fire crews driving around the areas here, making sure these fires don't start back up. We're covering the news in Sevier County, Tennessee. From the LEX-18 Mobile Newsroom, back to you.
Gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. A Kentucky mother tells us that's how she feels when she sees this picture. It's what's left of a chapel in Gatlinburg. She got married there. So did her daughter. As Claire Crouch shows us, the chapel may be gone, but their memories are everlasting. Claire continues our LEX-18 Big Story team coverage.
And as you place this ring on his finger, is it your commitment?
Like most moms, Debbie Fuquay still gets teary-eyed when she watches her daughter's wedding video. But this time, they're not happy tears. Debbie is grieving. She also got married at this chapel in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and this week it was destroyed by wildfires.
We travel to the mountains twice a year, and every time we go, we always have to drive by. There it is. There's our Cupid's Chapel of Love. And it's not going to be there.
Now the two say they can only imagine what their next trip there will be like.
Be as heart-wrenching as seeing the flames coming from the chapel when I seen them yesterday. I know it's just a place that we got married, but it holds some very special memories for me. That's where I married my best friend, and where I watched my daughter marry her best friend.
The picture on the left is Debbie on her wedding day. To the right, her daughter, Rachel Coffinberry, 13 years later.
Small, cute little country church with a big wooden cross. It's the first thing you saw is that big wooden cross.
Now that wooden cross is gone, along with everything else. And all that's left are the pictures and memories of what it once was.
I really hope that sign is still there.
Covering the news, Claire Crouch, LEX-18 News.
While some are patiently waiting to get back into Gatlinburg and see what's left of their property, those in the surrounding areas are making their way back now. Some traveling from states away to see their rentals and to see if anything is still standing. LEX-18's Kelsey Borza continues our team coverage.
Jim and Lisa Woodward say they didn't even recognize their own road in Cobbly Knob as they drove in to see what was left of their second home.
We're so emotionally attached. That's what's unbelievable. 11 years Monday.
Yeah.
More than a decade of memories gone, and they're not alone. Most of the homes on Pinetop Road are owned by out-of-towners who say they didn't even know what happened until it was all over.
We called our property owner here who confirmed there's some major fires going on up here. And it's probably a good chance that we'll lose our cabin based on where the fires were.
This cabin is one of the lucky ones up here on Cobbly Knob. The fire somehow stopped after it burned off part of the porch. There's only a handful of cabins along this road that were spared. Most of them look like this. The Woodwards say while they hope to rebuild their dream cabin someday, for now, they'll have to rely on their Smoky Mountain memories. Covering the news in Sevier County, Kelsey Borza, LEX-18 News.
It's a bittersweet time for an Anderson County woman who was in Gatlinburg this week. LEX-18's Michael Berk has her story.
Kevin, Linda Thomas feels fortunate to have made it out of Gatlinburg, but feels for the residents she left behind. It's a place that's been her home away from home for decades.
I'm so sad about this and the people that have lost everything down there.
That's what Linda Thomas will remember most about her recent trip to Gatlinburg, an annual trip with her son, shortened by the wildfires that continue to burn out of control.
There was smoke in the hotel, there was smoke in the rooms. I was walking around with a wet washcloth covering my face.
It was at that point Linda and her son Steve decided to get out of Gatlinburg and make the 6-mile drive to relative safety in Pigeon Forge. But as they drove, fire and smoke surrounding them from every direction.
What was usually about a 20-minute ride on the back roads from Gatlinburg to Pigeon Forge took 2 hours.
2 hours of wondering if they'd even get out of Gatlinburg alive, given the conditions.
There was so much smoke and there was such a panic.
And then such relief to have made it out and ultimately back home to Anderson County.
First thing you think about is your family, the family that's back here, and are you going to get to talk to them while you're trying to get out of there?
Linda has been vacationing in Gatlinburg since she was a small child. She rattles off the memories as if they happened yesterday. She believes the town will bounce back, and she'll be there when it happens.
I will go back because it's part of my life.
Linda says no one told them to leave, but once they saw the Microtel Inn and Suites was empty and without staff members, they knew it was time to go. Calls to that motel today go straight to a busy signal. Corporate headquarters isn't sure if the building has been damaged or destroyed. Back to you, Nancy.
The fires are out in Tennessee, but the work to recover is just beginning. And tonight, the governor of Tennessee officially declared a state of emergency.
And while some missing people have been found, the death toll has risen. State officials say 11 people have died in the fires and 80 have been hospitalized. More than 400 buildings have been damaged or destroyed. Almost 300 firefighters are still working to get a handle on hot spots. Officials did say that all but 3 roads in Gatlinburg will be open tomorrow morning, but people will need proof they live in that area to get into town. Kelsey Borza has been following the aftermath in Gatlinburg, where people are just now getting to see what's left behind.
She has the first look at the plans to rebuild in tonight's LEX-18 Big Story.
Tonight, the parkway to Gatlinburg remains closed, 1 mile outside of the city limits. Officials hope to change that tomorrow morning, at least for residents and business owners to be able to come and look at their properties during the daytime hours. For those who are able to make it, tomorrow will be the first chance they get to see what's left of their properties since Monday. In the area surrounding Gatlinburg, that's what many people were doing today. One Lexington family who owns a cabin in Cobley Knob says they didn't know until yesterday that their mountain lodge was burned to the ground, and they won't be able to see it firsthand until tomorrow.
I had a lot of things from my home and from my parents and friends that give me over the years. A lot of memories, good times down there, but just visiting the Christmas and holidays.
Many others who own cabins here on Pinetop Road live out of state too, and were left wondering this week what, if anything, was left.
You won't realize how it's going to affect you till you actually get there, but they say it's amazing when you get down there at houses that you knew that for years they're nothing but rubble like mine.
Officials are asking people to show up tomorrow with their proof of residency, if that's possible. We're covering the news in Sevier County, Tennessee from the LEX-18 Mobile Newsroom. Back to you.
You hate to think that arson might have had anything to do with these wildfires, but a man has been charged with starting a fire that burned 65 acres. Deputies in Sequatchie County have arrested and charged 24-year-old Dakota Tucker with deliberately setting a fire back on November 14th. Tucker is being held in Grundy County Jail, and additional charges are pending. More than 1,400 wildfires have been burning across Tennessee this year, and officials suspect almost half of them are arson.
Downtown Gatlinburg reopens next week, just in time for one of their busiest seasons, Christmas.
Despite lost buildings and businesses, much of the area is still intact, and the town is hoping tourists will come. Conroy Delouche continues our team coverage with the Russell County family expected to help boost the Gatlinburg economy.
Misty Walker has spent summers in the Smokies since she was 5 years old.
My grandparents would take us down there. We'd go on family vacation. The nature and the beauty and the people. I mean, it's just, they're so welcoming down there.
But now many of the places she's visited are in ashes after the wildfires.
It's been devastating. Just completely devastating. Your heart just breaks for those people down there.
A planned family trip during the busy Christmas season to Gatlinburg next weekend looked in doubt until she called the cabin company.
She's like, come on down. We need tourists. We need people to come.
A girls' trip has now evolved into a mission to spend money in Gatlinburg. In addition to cash, they plan to bring some donations and a hug for anyone who needs it.
We'll definitely get to make more memories, just maybe different kind of memories than what we thought we were going to make.
On Monday, she sat on the couch and cried as she watched the destruction unfold and prayed for rain. Soon, she'll be able to help a region that has a long rebuilding ahead.
And the state of Kentucky is their neighbors, and we're their friends, and we may be strangers, but we're not, you know. We're all God's children.
Covering the news in Russell County, Conroy Delouche, LEX-18 News.
We're learning more about the wildfires that damaged much of Gatlinburg, Tennessee. 13 people have died as a result of the fires that swept through Sevier County and Gatlinburg earlier this week. 12 victims died as a result of the fire. One died from a heart attack due to smoke inhalation while running from the flames. So far, only 6 victims have been identified. More than 1,000 structures were either damaged or destroyed by the fires. President Obama and President-elect Trump have assured the mayor of Gatlinburg that they will respond to their federal disaster relief request as soon as possible. People in Gatlinburg spent most of the day waiting in line for access to their properties, but only those who could prove they own a home or a business there were allowed in to survey the damage. Kesley Borza begins our LEX-18 Big Story team coverage at 5.
This is the massive line of people who live or own a business in Gatlinburg who are just waiting to get back and see what's left of their property today. These folks have been patiently waiting since they were evacuated Monday night to get back. Most of them won't be able to stay or salvage anything, but that's not stopping them from waiting in this line just to see. This cell phone video shows a resident's perspective as he was trying to escape the fire Monday night. We talked to one business owner who spent hours waiting to get back to his restaurant today. He told us from pictures he's seen, he thinks his place got lucky.
You know, other than just what people I've talked to and obviously video and photos that we've seen, just like you have, I'm sure. But as far as their business is concerned, all reports and photos I've seen, it looks good compared to a lot of other people.
Unfortunately, this line is what people will have to deal with through the weekend. They plan on opening all roads into Gatlinburg by Monday. We're covering the news in Sevier County, Tennessee from the LEX-18 Mobile Newsroom. Back to you.
Donations have been pouring in for the people who lost so much in East Tennessee. We were there when firefighters from East Bernstadt and Laurel County arrived to drop off their contributions. LEX-18's Angie Beavin continues our team's coverage at 5.
Arriving earlier today in Gatlinburg.
Our truck was really heavy coming down this morning.
A trailer full.
Plenty of water.
Packed with cases and cases of water and sport drinks. Also food, cleaning supplies, medical supplies, even clothes.
It's been absolutely incredible. The outpouring of generosity and concern for the people of the Gatlinburg area was just overwhelming for us. We worked around the clock day and night collecting items, packing stuff, repacking.
Frank Vodolato says folks in East Bernstadt understand the need for help in a disaster.
In 2012, we got hit with that devastating tornado. And we're just really glad to be able to give back.
And it was a special connection with people in East Tennessee.
I'll tell you what, I have never been thanked more in the last 6 to 8 hours since we've left Kentucky and gotten into Tennessee than I have in a very long time. People were yelling at us in traffic, you know, thanks for coming down and helping.
Covering the news in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, Angie Beavin, LEX-18 News.
Earlier in the week, East Bernstadt Fire offered to help fight the fires. However, they weren't called down.
LEX-18 News at 6 starts now.
That was our dream home. A lot of memories there.
Days after hurricane-force winds turned a few wildfires in the Tennessee hills into one of the worst disasters the state has seen, people are finally getting a look at what's left of their homes. This morning, several main roads in Gatlinburg were reopened for the first time since the town was evacuated Monday night.
And more may be lost to the fires as rescue crews continue to search for several people still missing. The latest about the Gatlinburg fires begins our LEX-18 Big Story coverage at 6. 13 lives have been lost to the fires, and now the mayor in Sevier County says the fires damaged nearly 1,000 buildings. Some property owners have been asking why warnings weren't sent out sooner, but the mayor would only say that now isn't the time to play Monday morning quarterback. Everyone in the city with a cell phone that could get a signal from a tower was sent a message to get out of town around 9 o'clock Monday night. Park rangers from the Smoky Mountain National Park said there was nothing that could have stopped the fires that burned through more than 16,000 acres in just 24 hours.
Thousands of families made their way back into Gatlinburg today after waiting all week to see what was left of their properties. A Kentucky couple who thought their belongings might have still been inside their timeshare found it had burned to the ground this morning. LEX-18's Kelsey Borza continues our big story team coverage.
This is something else.
Asa Witt and his wife have been waiting all week to find out if their Westgate Resort timeshare and their belongings still exist.
That's where it would be, and it's not there.
His building, along with 70 others on the property, are gone.
This is not good.
Witt says they arrived to Gatlinburg from Mount Sterling on Sunday. By Monday, he says the smoke was so thick they could hardly breathe.
I just made the decision, let's just go eat, get out of here, because it had really got thick. But even at the office, you know, nobody knew.
They decided to wait it out in Pigeon Forge, not knowing they'd soon be stranded. Within 30 minutes, the parkway was closed. This huge pile of tree limbs here all came from that burning hillside. We're told as people were trying to escape Gatlinburg and get to Pigeon Forge, they were actually having to move the burning tree limbs out of the road.
I've seen forests burn. It was unbelievable how that fire was eating that hillside.
Witt says by a stroke of luck, the safe in their room wasn't working that night. So his wife decided to bring all her jewelry along.
I never knew what the word surreal meant. I'd heard it, but I do now. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Covering the news in Sevier County, Kelsey Borza, LEX-18 News.
For all the Kentuckians who visit Gatlinburg throughout the year for vacations, seeing the destruction is heartbreaking. And a Kentucky man and his family had to watch their house turn to ash, unable to do anything to stop it. Security cameras caught their vacation home going up in flames. LEX-18's Hayley Harmon continues our team coverage.
That was our dream home. A lot of memories there.
Chris Allen and his family live in Todd County, Kentucky, but they loved visiting Gatlinburg so much they actually bought a second home there, a vacation home they filled with countless memories over the years. So when Allen got a call from his alarm company Monday night saying his smoke alarm was going off, he never expected to see it like this. Flames shooting up near the base of the house and smoke filling up the inside.
We were pretty upset. My sister was here. We were at work. My sister was standing behind me crying.
Security cameras on the house caught the whole thing, flames inching closer and closer before finally taking over the home. Allen and his family forced to watch it in real time from their home all the way here in Kentucky, powerless to stop it. Their 4,000 square foot, 14-person sleeping home away from home destroyed. They used it as a rental property for much of the year, but stayed there a lot themselves. A house full of memories for their family, now gone.
We're trying to decide whether we want to rebuild. Is Gatlinburg going to be the same?
Covering the news, Hayley Harmon, LEX-18 News.
Donations are pouring in to help those who have lost so much in East Tennessee. We were there when the East Bernstadt Fire Department out of Laurel County arrived in Gatlinburg today to deliver a truckload. They dropped off cases of bottled water and sports drinks, food, medical supplies, cleaning supplies, and clothing. The firefighters say the response has been humbling.
Tell you what, I have never been thanked more in the last 6 to 8 hours since we've left Kentucky and gotten into Tennessee than I have in a very long time. People were yelling at us in traffic, you know, thanks for coming down and helping.
East Bernstadt firefighters offered their assistance in fighting the wildfires earlier this week, but they were not called down.
More about the fires and the long recovery ahead for Eastern Tennessee is coming up at 6:30 on NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt. And check our website, LEX18.com, anytime for updates about the fires and the many relief efforts underway. I'm Kevin Christopher.
And I'm Nancy Cox. Thank you for joining us at 11. Days after hurricane-force winds turned a few wildfires in the Tennessee hills into one of the worst disasters that state has seen, people are finally getting a look at what's left of their homes. This morning, several main roads in Gatlinburg were reopened for the first time since the town was evacuated Monday night.
13 lives have been lost to the fires. 12 victims died as a result. One died from a heart attack due to smoke inhalation when she was running from the flames. So far, only 6 victims have been identified. More than 1,000 structures have been damaged or destroyed. Park rangers from the Smoky Mountain National Park said there was nothing that could have stopped the fires that burned through more than 16,000 acres in just 24 hours. President Obama and President-elect Trump have assured the mayor of Gatlinburg that they will respond to their federal disaster relief request as soon as possible. As the roads reopened, thousands of people in Gatlinburg got to see what was left, if anything, of their property.
But not just Tennessee families. Conor McCue continues our team coverage with the story of one Kentucky family hoping they can start over. That's tonight's LEX-18 Big Story at 11.
As fires in eastern Tennessee claimed lives and overtook homes this week, Diana Neal watched intently from Winchester.
Gatlinburg's like our second home.
Her mind was on the family's home away from home on Ski Mountain, a place her parents planned to retire to in the next few months.
When we were younger, we went. My son grew up at that home. My nieces, my nephews, my brother, my sister.
Despite holding out hope, Neal's worst-case scenario came true.
I knew as soon as I saw the phone number that I knew something had happened.
The family's special place off Village Loop Road was caught in the flames. Now all that remains is the cement foundation.
Me and my sister, both Melissa, we just cried. There was nothing you can do. It hurts.
Neal says the fire took out every home on the north side of the mountain. Some neighbors even watched the flames engulf the neighborhood.
It was so dry that, there was nothing they could do. Nothing that the fire department, nothing. It was coming so fast.
Neal says, like other neighbors, her parents plan to rebuild and will still retire in Gatlinburg. She'll also do her part to rebuild her home away from home.
Need to get back to Gatlinburg, get the economy rolling.
Conor McCue, LEX 18 News.